Okay, so that brings us to the next exercise where we need to work with a Polygon class. So the Polygon class represents a polygon, and for those who don't know, a polygon is something that looks like this, so it's like an irregular shape. And we are going to represent that using a list of xy coordinates of each of the points on the polygon. So the xy coordinate of this one, and so on. I don't know what the order is. So what we need to write is a class that's given these points, and that constructor, like this line, will call the init function on the class, and then the init function actually needs to set up an x and a y coordinate inside the class. So we can write p.x, and that'll give us this numpy ND array that just correspond to the x values, like this value, this value, this value, and this value is equal to this value, this value, this value, and this value, and so on. And similar for y. Okay, so let's just open the file and try to experiment. And I'll just copy paste these two lines here, because these seem to, actually I'll copy paste all of that, because we want to have an example when we work with the function and implement it. So let me go over here and open the Polygon. So here we have the definition of the class, and then we need to fill in some code here. So I think I'll just print out this value here, which should be equal to what we have in the example. Okay, so when I call this line, remember that what is actually being called is the init function that you have seen a couple of times before, and it has this general format where the first input argument is self. This is a reference to the object of the class itself, like what will eventually become p. And then the second argument is what argument we're actually calling the function for, as namely this value points. So that needs to be the second argument. And then here I'll just put in an empty line, like maybe I'll just put in the number 4. Because I want to put in a breakpoint here so we can examine that that is indeed what happens when I run the code. So now when I go up here and select debug Python file, it'll start running the file. It'll define this variable. It'll call the class constructor, and that'll call this function, and then it will stop right here on this number 4. So that is what happens, and we can go to the debug console, and then we can verify that points is indeed equal to this list, and self is a reference to the Polygon object that so far doesn't have any variables assigned to it. Okay, so our first task is to somehow compute x and y, and then what I want to eventually do is I want to write self.x is equal to whatever x is. And whatever x is should be, of course, this line here. So we can see it should be equal to a numpy ND array. Okay, there are a couple of ways of doing this. So the most obvious way, I think, is to start by converting this points list of points into a numpy ND array, and then see if that gives us an idea. We can see we already imported numpy up here. So what I'll just do is just to make an experiment and convert this to an ND array. And this is where the debugger really shines, because you can quickly make experiments like this and see what happens. So we see that what happens, if I just do it a little bit naively, is that it converts this into a matrix. And if I just observe, we can see that the points are organized in the matrix. So the first point is the first row, the second point is the second row, and so on and so forth. And that means that I can index all the x points like this, because remember the slice operator just select like a column, and then this number here will mean that it's the first column because it's 0 indexed. And similarly, I can get the second column like this. You can verify that this is equal to this and this is equal to this. If I had somehow wanted the rows, like to say I wanted the third row, I would remember that it's 0 indexed, so the third is 2, and then this will, it'll refer to this row and then the slice operator will select the entire row. So this one, it'll be 36,8, and we can verify that that's indeed the case. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the x-coordinates, and I can get these like that. So now that I know how to do that, I'll just copy paste it and put it here, and also put in the y-coordinates, remove this empty line, remove this 4 that doesn't do anything, and I think we are done. So with that out of the way, let's go to the tests. I should probably also run the test from the last exercise, but I think I'll just do that now. Let's hope it works. It did. Okay. So now let's check the init function. I guess it's this test, and I'm just going by the name, and it seemed to work. So that was good. So this is how you can write a constructor in this case. Okay, I think I'll end it here, and then we'll look at plotting in the next exercise.